Hello YouTubers, this is Freddy here. I just want to do this quick video to see if this one will help anybody out. How I solved the P0412 code on the 2007 Tundra 4.7 liter engine. And also share with you a little bit of the mistakes I made along the journey. All right, so you don't make the same mistakes. But P0412 code was on this truck when I bought it. I bought this truck from a company that used a truck for yard work, and it has 190,000 miles on it, and it's a mining industry. So the truck has seen its days, but I just bought it, got a good deal on it, tried to get it ready and prepped up for my son, who's about to turn in driving age pretty soon here. So the truck, I bought a truck. It had an engine, check engine light on it. Actually, it's it's a Christmas tree on there. And one of the things that the seller or the company was saying that they've not been able to get this truck smoke checked, pass smoke because of the check engine light. When I brought it home, I scanned it. Actually, I scanned it. I drove this one from Tucson. I'm in Arizona, so I'm Tucson. The truck drove fine, but it has a check engine light, which is the P0412 code, which is the secondary air injection switching valve malfunction circuit A, which is the bank one. So the bank one is on the driver's side. So this check engine light will not clear. It's not, no matter what you do, it will not clear. So I started my detective work, investigation on it. Tried to do the work myself here. So I did a lot of research on YouTube and watched a lot of videos, your videos on those codes. And most of the codes that I got were mechanical codes, like the P2 codes. And I did not find any clear video that for P0412, except one code on some forum that indicated that they did change a driver, control driver to fix it. But anyway, so that led me to getting the Toyota service manual. So I looked at that, and they had a P0412 code, and then they have how to diagnose it and solve it. And sorry for my camera. So I started following that and did a lot of diagnosis. In 2008, they issued a TSB for a P0412, which is the bank one, and P0415, which is the bank two. Same thing, circuit issue, right? And then the TSB kind of directed the service dealership to look at the air control valve system, or the air control driver, which is these two guys over here. So these two guys here are the air injection control drivers, and they the ECM, when the car starts in cold start, the ECM give them signal to power on the pump, and also the switching valve, which is here in the 4.7. The switching valves on the one on the right, one on the left, which is the driver's side. So this is bank one, and this is the other one over here. The camera, where's it at? Right there, right there. This is bank two. Okay. So I looked into that a lot, and did a lot of using a multimeter. I did a lot of voltage assessment, and also did a lot of resistance assessment. So the conclusion was that it puts potentially the bank one, which is the black one right here, may be faulty. So I replaced that. Okay, I replaced this one, and it did not do anything. Right, it didn't change, and this is a very expensive part too, so it didn't change anything. So the other diagnostic work led me to check the fuses, right? To check all the fuses and relays. All the fuses work perfectly. They were all good. But the idea is that, well, if the relay for the pump is bad, then the pump will not come on. So let me show you where the relay for the pump is. Okay, so this is the fuse box here in the driver's side of the in the engine bay. Now, this thing right here controls this. I think it says 40, 44, 45, if I can't remember. But this fuse link here is where, I think this is the middle one, 2 here is where the fuses are for the pump, the air pump. This is the air injection system to control emissions during cold start. So this is where the fuses are, the relays are. So I replaced this thing, this one right here. I put a new part and replaced it. I have a video on how to replace this fuse link right here. It's not too challenging. It takes you a little while, but it's easy to replace and then fix it. So I did that, and then guess what? The engine light still kept going. It's on. And again, as I said, the engine light will not clear. So this tells me that it's a very serious electrical connection issue there. So that this made me contact a mechanic online. And when I was talking to the mechanic, trying to explain to him what I've done, and before that, before I changed the fuse link and then the control driver, I replaced the switch valve, right? This switch valve right here, and then the second one, switch valve, I also replaced that. I replaced the pump on the drivers on the bank 2, even though the bank 2 is not an issue. I did that. This one looks old because I put back the this is the switching valve from the bank 2, because the bank A was the issue. The circuit, the code is for bank A or bank 1. So I removed that one, the OEM one, and then brought it over here. Okay, and there's a story behind that, why I did that. So this one is I bought a brand new one, which is not here, but this is the old one from the bank 2. I put it over here, and I put a brand new one over there. So just to long story short, so I contacted the mechanic. We talked about some stuff, and I was here in the bay here trying to check the switching valve, because the code has to do with the switching valve circuit A, right? So the switching valve is not getting at some circuit. Something is wrong on the circuit wide electrically on the switching system. All the hoses and everything is good, right? Now, when I was messing with this, with the hose over here, or the connector, which is right here, I saw that the grounding prong, the grounding wire of the connector was completely out of the connector. And I said, "Ooh, that might be my problem there," right? So it sounds like it did show that the grounding wire to the connector, which is the black and white, was completely loose, and it was in there, but it was loose. It was not having any contact at all. So when I was moving it around, it just fell off. So that was my solution number 1. So what I did was that I grounded the I put a ground here, and I splice it like this. This is the ground. I spliced the I grounded the I have a grounding wire and connected to the grounding wire on the harness. And then I put it on a actual grounding in the vehicle, right? So when I did that, I ran the code, and the engine check light went away. I mean, I was so super happy, right? That I cracked the code. So I drove it around, it didn't come back. And the next day, I started the track cold start, and then the engine light came back on. All right, so I realized that, well, there's an underlying issue. At this time, the code could be cleared. Before, the code cannot be cleared, because the grounding situation was solved. The code was able to clear, right? So now I can clear the code, but it will keep coming back anytime I start the truck cold start, because the air switching, the secondary air injection system still have a problem. It's not able to. The ECM is not able to make the command, or even the command is issued to the control driver to turn the pump and the switch valve on. It looks like there is a circuitry issue over there. So I'm still getting the code. All right. So this kept me 3 weeks. I mean, it's been 2 weeks into this, right? I've been researching and watching videos and reading the service manual and doing all these checks and balances here. That led me to, okay, 3 things, right? So I need to check and make sure that the bank one pump actually is on, right, or happens, because one of the Toyota service manual also tells you to check the voltage at the connector or the pump, and also the voltage at the connection of the control driver, to make sure that the control driver, the pump, is receiving the voltage, with about 12 volts with the battery voltage. To do that, I need to remove the intake, because the bank one pump is sitting right underneath the intake. Let me see if I can show you guys here. I have my thing, so that thing right there. Move this one a little bit. Yeah, that's the pump right there. Okay. All right. So I did pull the intake, which is an intake. There's a lot of videos on YouTube, so it's very easy to do that. So I pulled the intake, checked the pump. I bench tested the pump. I did not remove it from the pump. I used my my jumper cables, and then connected to the 2 wires, the 2 prongs, and then use my battery here, and then the pump powered on. The pump was running. Pump is healthy, right? I also did a hose test. I call the hose test, where I removed this hose right here, right to the air switching valve, and I'll put some papers over here to see if there any clogs in the line coming into the air switching valve. So I did that, and then air was flowing through. Everything was blowing away from there. So I know air is getting into here, right? The air is coming here from the pump. So pump is works. Again, it's bank 1, bank 2, no problem. So pump is okay. So what is the problem? Whilst I was looking into the bay, into the valley of the engine, where the pump and then the starter is, I saw this thing right here. This is a VSV. This is the vacuum switching valve. It's just bolted right under behind the bottom of the intake, bottom left of the intake. And this is the wire. You can see how dirty it is, right? I saw that this thing was lying in there. It's connected. This one is bolted to there, but the plug here is just inside there. It's just it's lying in there. So I told myself, why is this wire lying in there, not connected to anything? All right. At that time, I didn't know what it does. So I'm still investigating this situation. So I will tell the story. Now, if you can see, there's another wire. Where's that? Well, here. This harness right here is sitting over here in there. So when I was doing all the checks about the checks, I saw this thing, and I Googled it. I looked at videos that why is this harness connector empty, right? And then some of the information will say, oh, sometimes there's some harnesses that don't go in. This is a base model, so I was thinking, okay, maybe there might be some other things in the SR5 or Limited or something that connects to. So I didn't do anything. I didn't think about it that much. So I put everything back on there, and then I bolted everything back together, and then everything was good, right? But the check engine light is still come on. So my next course of action was to replace the ECM, right? So one of the service manual, some of the items that you check is the ASV, which is the air switching valve. This is one. And then the control valve, if it does this is bad, you replace. If this one is good, you come to the control valve. If the control valve is good or not good, you replace it. If the problem still persists, then you go to you change the ECM. So I purchased a used ECM that I was thinking about getting to reprogram and replace that. But before I did that, I told myself, man, there's something there that I think is simple here that I should figure out. So I started researching, right? And then my research came into this VSV, this thing again, okay? So there's a switching valve over there that controls, also forms part of the secondary air injection system. Now, the funny thing is that the service manual for the P0412 code never mentioned anything about VSV valve. So it sounds like it wasn't part of that system. But upon further reading and researching, I found that this VSV valve, which is inside the intake, at the back of the intake, is also a very significant, component of the system, right? Because it directs how much air goes into the intake for the cold start emission control. So, okay, I guess something else to look at before you replace in the ECM, right? Because it's expensive. So I went to the dealership and I purchased a brand new of this because I didn't know whether this one will work or not. So I bought a one, it's about $150 something. And then I came back, removed the intake again a second time to check this, right? Now, when I examined this connector really well, I realized that it fits right over there. This thing and that one fit perfectly. It connects right to each other. See? I said, voila, that might be the problem. Somebody maybe once upon a time did some work on this vehicle and failed to connect back this switching valve. So this switching valve have been sitting in the cradle for how many years? I don't know. So I removed the intake and then I pulled everything back, cleaned the intake, did some work on there, cleaned everything, checked the intake valves and everything and the gaskets, and then I tested this one on the bench. It worked. So anytime you see the positive and negative here, you connect with a jumper cable and use your battery, you can hear some ticking. It means that it's working. So this thing works. But I replaced it anyway with a brand new one because of how it is. It's just been sitting there. So just to be sure, because it's in the intake and it's a lot of work to get it out. So I put it back in there, and this is where it's supposed to go, right here, right? And then the connector connect to it like this. So I did that, put everything back together, started the truck, and voila, the engine light and the traction control and the VSC light that were blinking, all gone. All right, so that was the problem for the P0412 code that I've been struggling with for the past 3 weeks. So just to let you know, so if you're having P0412 code, it is an electrical issue, not a mechanical issue, technically. It means it's a circuit break at an open or closed circuit. Or short, sorry, either open or short circuit. It was an open circuit. Because the code is very generic, so you got to look at a lot of things. Some people were suggesting that I should change the O2 sensor. I replaced 2 O2 sensors on the downstream end. I didn't do anything, right? So for this Tundra, this one was the problem. The vacuum switching valve was unplugged for many years, and that's why the owner could not register the car because it will not pass emissions. But, okay, after I saw this problem is solved and I put it back together, I made one mistake that I want everybody to learn, okay? So I put everything back together. I was excited, I solved the problem, eureka moment, put everything back together like I used to, everything, because I pulled this one twice already, so I know exactly where everything goes. And I started the truck, checked the engine light was gone, and then I realized that underneath the truck, I was having a waterfall of waterfall underneath the truck. Coolant was just gushing out from underneath the truck, just massive coolant leak. And I was just hysterical. Where is this thing coming from? I was just checking. So I realized that my engine light, the temperature is right in the center, creeping a little bit over across the center board. So I turned the truck off and try to investigate this, where the leak is coming from. So I realized that the water was kind of coming from underneath the throttle body, somewhere in here. So this is the linkage right here. So this is the linkage right here, my thing is kind of lying on it right now, but let's see if I can turn this one a little bit. Okay, so camera. All right, so the coolant comes through this hose right here. It goes through here. What's what the thermostat is, and it's a linkage right here, and it's a line that goes across from this linkage to over there to connect to these hoses right here. These hoses right here on the top across the manifold, and then circulates the water through the engine. This is this is it. This is how it looks like. It connects to the junction right here, right over here on the side like this. So this is how it connected right there. All right, and this is a hose that goes across here that transmits coolant to these hoses right here, and then it goes to the circulation through the engine and everywhere. Now, unknown to me, when I was messing with this and I was installing the intake, I had pushed this bracket right here forward, but there's a bolt over there. The bolt was missing, so this one kind of pulled from the hose, and its O-ring here probably is very old, so it didn't hold, so it pulled away from the where it's supposed to connect, and that is where the coolant was gushing from. So I literally dumped all the coolant in the vehicle out when after I finished solving the P0412 problem. Nearly destroyed my engine. So I just want to kind of advise everybody, you know, when you're doing this work like this, you gotta be patient, because there's a lot of things you need to pull out. There's a lot of things you need to connect back in. I also kind of had a mistake here. You see this? This was my the intake gasket. Right when I pulled the intake back again, I realized that the gasket had been pinched, and then it completely teared through. So it was an installation problem. What I did was that instead of buying a new one and put it in there, I reused it, and I turned it. I exchanged it. It was a bad idea trying to reuse this, but it didn't work out. So see this? These things can happen. It could be that it was also over-torqued, and then it ripped everything completely. So the other thing I may have done or may have happened is that maybe this is a thermostat, the thermostat housing, right? So I am presuming that the thermostat open is either you know open closed. Sorry, stuck open or stuck closed. Probably stuck closed. It could be okay, I don't know. So to be safe, I bought ordered a new thermostat from the dealer to replace this, so I don't have to have any issues. All right, so this is the housing, thermostat housing. It goes over here, and then the thermostat actually goes like this. Put the camera right there. Goes like this, right, and then the housing goes over there. So I have a new part there. I'll put a new part number. Let me see. Part number is 9096 916 013138 for the 4.7 2007. All right. So I'm here to work on it again and then put everything back together. I also bought an OEM gasket to replace this one, and make sure that I do the job right, patient this time. Again, my advice is that when you have an eureka moment when you're fixing your car to solve the problem, please try to control your emotions. I know you're excited, as I was, so be careful. Make sure that you take all your excitement a little bit out, control your emotions, make sure that you are carefully putting the car back together so that you don't solve one problem and create the other and destroying your truck. So all right, thank you very much. I'm going to put this together, and when I'm done, I will let you guys know how it went. But I hope this helps somebody telling this story, and how I, got to solution to the P0412, and also the issues that I encountered, the things that I did wrong in the process. All right, thank you, and I hope this helps somebody. All right, ciao.